The man with the red waistcoat said it like he was ordering coffee. His thumb hooked careless in his belt, his eyes moving over the women lined along the rail as if they were horses up for sale, and the saloon went quiet enough for a match scratch to sound like thunder, because everyone knew what pick any woman meant in Redwater Gulch, and they knew the kind of man who said it smiling. Eli Cross had been riding hard for 3 days, dust ground into his beard, blood stiff on his sleeve from a knife that glanced him in the dark, and he should have taken the offer just to survive the night, because men who crossed Silas Boone did not see many mornings. Eli's hand hovered near his Colt, not from hunger or want but from habit, from the way a man learns to measure rooms by exits and threads, and he let his eyes sweep once across the line without settling, because he had not come here for pleasure or mercy. The piano player had frozen mid-chord. A girl's laugh died half-formed, and Boone's men leaned easy against posts with shotguns crooked like canes, waiting for the choice. Eli's boots creaked as he shifted his weight, and that was when the two little voices came, thin as wind through sage, but sharp enough to cut bone. "Papa, that's her." The word Papa hit him harder than the knife had, harder than the sunstroke 2 summers back, and he stopped so fast the room seemed to tilt, because no man expects the past to speak plain in living, least of all through the mouths of children. He looked down, and there they were, half hidden behind a table near the wall, 2 girls with dust on their skirts and fear in their eyes, one older by maybe a year, both with his same dark hair and the same scar at the left brow that he had seen in his own reflection every morning since a horse threw him at 12. They weren't supposed to exist, not here, not now, and the woman they pointed to was staring at him like she'd been shot, her hand gripping the rail so hard her knuckles were white, her face older than he remembered but unmistakable, like a melody you never forget even after years of noise. Boone's smile faltered just a hair as he followed the girl's gaze, and in that hairline crack Eli saw his chance and his doom braided together. Boone chuckled, slow and oily, asking if the cowboy had lost his tongue, and Eli forced his eyes away from the children before they betrayed him completely, before the room smelled his fear. He said nothing because there was nothing safe to say, and Boone stepped closer, his boots clicking, his voice dropping. He said the night was long and the offer wouldn't stand forever. The woman's eyes were locked on Eli now, pleading without words, terror and recognition fighting in her face, and Eli remembered a riverbank, a cheap ring, a promise made under cottonwoods, a promise he broke when he rode south chasing a bounty that turned bad. He remembered leaving her with a belly just beginning to show and a letter he never sent. Boone snapped his fingers and one of his men laughed, and the laughter snapped something in Eli's chest. He lifted his chin and said he'd made his pick. Boone's grin returned wide and sharp, and he gestured grandly. Eli said he'd take the one with the children. The room inhaled as one body. Boone's grin slid off his face like grease off a plate, because in Redwater Gulch children were a liability, a complication, and Boone hated complications. He asked Eli if he thought this was funny. Eli said no, he thought it was fair. Boone's hand twitched near his gun. The woman shook her head, mouthing no, and the older girl clutched her sister's hand. Eli could feel the clock running out, each second a footstep toward the grave. Boone laughed again, louder, but it had an edge now. He said the cowboy had nerve. He said nerve was something he admired. He said fine. He said take her, but the girls stay. Eli's mouth went dry. He said no deal. Boone's eyes went flat. He said in his town, deals were his to set. The piano let out a sour note as someone's elbow bumped the keys. Outside, a horse screamed. Eli thought of the gun under the table by the wall, the one he'd stashed years ago on a bad run, the one place. Boone's men never checked because they thought no one was that foolish. He thought of distance, of angles, of blood. He said he'd change his pick. Boone smiled, satisfied, and said that was wise. The girls whimpered, and the woman's shoulders sagged like the world had finally crushed her. Eli took a breath, then another, then he moved. He moved like a man stepping into a cold river, knowing it would steal his breath but trusting his legs. His hand dropped, his heel kicked the table leg just enough. The Colt skidded into his palm, and the first shot took Boone's right-hand man in the throat before anyone understood the sound. The room exploded. Wood splintered, glass shattered, women screamed and dove. Eli fired twice more, not aiming so much as remembering, and the woman grabbed the girls and ran low, dragging them toward the kitchen. Boone roared orders, firing wild, his bullet tearing a line through Eli's hat. Eli ducked behind a post, reloaded by feel, and saw Boone retreating toward the back, rage and disbelief twisting his face. Eli chased, knowing he could not let Boone live. Not now. Not with the girls in reach. They crashed through the back door into the alley, the night cold and sharp, lantern light swinging. Boone spun faster than Eli expected, and the shot caught Eli high in the shoulder, spinning him. Pain flared white. Eli dropped to one knee and fired from the hip. Boone staggered, his gun clattering, and fell hard, his head cracking the stone. For a moment the alley was silent except for Eli's ragged breathing. Then boots pounded. Eli forced himself up, stumbled back inside through smoke and screams, found the woman and the girls crouched by flour sacks. Eyed and said run. They ran through the kitchen, out into the yard, over fences, into darkness. Horses whinnied. Eli hauled himself into the saddle with the woman's help. The girls wedged between them and they rode. The night stretched and tore at them. Boone's men shouting somewhere behind, shots cracking. Eli leaned low, blood soaking his shirt, guiding the horse by instinct. He did not look back until the sounds faded and only the wind spoke. They hid in a dry wash until dawn bled gray into the sky. The girls watched him with wide eyes, fear and something like hope trembling. The woman finally spoke, his name like a question and an accusation and a prayer all at once. Eli nodded. There were no apologies big enough. He tore strips from his shirt and bound his shoulder, teeth clenched. He said Boone would not stop. He said they had to keep moving. The older girl asked if he would leave again. Eli swallowed. He said no. He said not ever. The sun climbed. The past rode with them, heavy and alive, and behind them Redwater Gulch smoldered. A wound that would not close. They rode into the second day with Boone's shadow stretching long. Because men like Boone did not die easy, and rumors ran faster than horses. By noon they heard the dogs, a distant bay that made the girls flinch. Eli's shoulder burned and his vision swam, but he kept them moving through bad ground, over shale and thorn, places only a desperate man would choose. He taught the girls to listen for the birds, for silence, for the shape of danger, because he did not know any other way to love them yet. The woman rode stiff, quiet, her jaw set, and when they stopped to water she asked him why now. Eli had no good answer. He said sometimes a man doesn't see the edge until he's already falling. She said that was not enough. He agreed. The dogs grew closer by afternoon. Eli doubled back through a stream, scattered pepper from his pouch, led the horse up rock where scent thinned, but Boone's men were persistent and well paid. By dusk they reached an abandoned line shack, walls sagging, roof half gone. Eli said they'd make a stand. The woman looked at him like she'd slap him and kiss him in the same breath. She took the girls inside and loaded the old shotgun she found there, hands steady despite the shaking in her chest. Eli set traps with wire and broken glass, counted bullets, breathed through pain. The baying came closer, then the shout of men. A lantern bobbed. Eli fired once, dropping the lantern into darkness. Then another, a scream answering. Shots tore into the shack, boards splintering. The girls huddled silent as stones. Eli moved like a shadow, popping up, firing, vanishing, drawing the men in. One tripped the wire and fell, his cry cut short. Another took a blast from the woman's shotgun at the door. Then Boone stepped into the light. Pale and furious, a bandage on his head, a rifle in his hands. He shouted Eli's name and promised, "Slow things." Eli stepped out to meet him because there was no more running. They circled, dust rising, breath smoking. Boone fired first, the shot grazing Eli's ribs. Eli fired back, missing, then the rifle clicked empty. Boone laughed and charged. Eli drew his Colt, fired, and Boone fell, this time not getting up. The dog skidded to a stop, confused. The men broke and ran. After, there was only the wind and the girls' quiet sobs. Eli sank to the ground, the world narrowing. The woman held him, pressing her forehead to his. He told her the horse was theirs now, that there was a place north with water and grass and no Boone. He told the girls their names again, tasting them like a vow. When dawn came, he was still breathing. They rode north. The land did not forgive, but it endured, and sometimes that was enough.